Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. One of the things I've said on this platform repeatedly is that we should not be participating in flawed elections only to give Zanu PF legitimacy. This is not just me saying it. The opposition leaders themselves have realized it. Here is a quotation from Tendai Biti in 2015. He clearly realized that participating in flawed elections only helps perpetuate this Zanu PF dictatorship. And I've underlined the key word, the key sentence in that quotation. So it will be very foolish for the opposition to continue legitimizing these sham elections, which do not deliver. Of course, he was right. This was in 2015, he gave that interview. Come 2018, he did participate in the flawed elections. He never gave an interview to explain why he did not take his own advice. He was not the only one who saw the sheer futility of participating in these flawed elections. David Coltart saw the same thing. And he went even further to give an explanation why the opposition kept participating in these flawed elections. This is a quotation from his book. The long struggle continues. And in this quotation, he acknowledges that the electoral process was so flawed, so illegal, that the only logical step was to withdraw. He was talking of the 2013 elections. But he explains why he and his colleagues went on to participate even when they could see that they were flawed. His argument was he could not withdraw because they had failed to convince the other MDC faction to form a coalition. They would only withdraw if they were confident the other side would withdraw. But because they failed to form a coalition, they did not want to withdraw. So they were participating now in an electoral process, which they knew was so flawed, so illegal, the only logical step was to withdraw. But they could not withdraw because they feared the other side would participate and win the seats. They wanted a share of some of those gravy train seats that they knew Zanu PF gives away to entice the opposition to participate. So we can honestly say since 2018, the opposition has been participating in flawed elections to give the process legitimacy out of greed. This is the tragedy of Zimbabwe. Here is a video clip of the consequences of their participating. That was a video clip of a truck in Bulawayo. For those of you who are not aware of it, in the last election, 2023, David Coltart, the one whose quotation I showed you, the last there, and whose book I referred to also earlier on, contested the 2023 elections. This time, he contested as a councillor. He won the election and has since been the mayor of Bulawayo. Here is the man who himself admitted that the process was so flawed, so illegal, the only logical thing to do was to withdraw. He did not. He did not withdraw in 2013. He did not withdraw in 2018. And he did not withdraw in 2023. The question then is, what did he ever accomplish by participating? The answer is nothing. This is why he himself was acknowledging that the only logical thing to do was to withdraw. The tragedy for Zimbabwe, of course, is that these individuals are exploiting that weakness. The people themselves out there, many of them have no clue what Coltart was talking about, what Tendai was talking about, when they were emphasizing that the sheer futility of participating in these flawed elections. There are some individuals. This was a comment I got from my last video when I emphasized the sheer futility of keeping on participating in these flawed elections. And this is the reply I got. In this case here, these are individuals who still want to maintain that it makes sense to keep participating. In this particular video, I was criticizing the articles praising the achievements of the opposition. These are the individuals who are creating the impression that participating is accomplishing something, when in reality, it is not. The people of Zimbabwe don't know that it is futile to keep participating in these flawed elections. And yet, they're being bombarded from both areas by these Chamisa Chete supporters who want to give the impression that it makes sense. We are looking at a situation here where, come 2028, the same individuals who participated in 2023 to give Zanu PF legitimacy would still participate in 2028 to give Zanu PF legitimacy, even though the evidence on the ground is clear that by participating, all they accomplished was to give Zanu PF legitimacy and perpetuate the dictatorship. Nothing of substance was ever accomplished. But this is the debate that must be had and must be hammered if we are ever going to get out of this mess. Because I can rest assure you, these individuals are determined. They will tell the people that they accomplished something, when in reality, we all know that they didn't accomplish anything at all. Here is Margaret Longo. I'll give her word opportunity to say something on this issue, explaining this very issue of the opposition participating in flawed elections, knowing fully well that they are flawed.
MPs and other people.
Do you think they look at it as a business?
Yes, they look at it as a business. Because they look at it as a business, seriously. Because the moment they go, business and employment creation, because if they go to parliament, you are employed. You get a car, you get a stable salary, and you are paid until your term is over. Already you are employed. If you are out, you're out of employment.
If you serve 2 terms, you get a pension?
If you haven't exercised in years, you have to start small with my beginner-friendly Tai Chi class.
There is no employment. The only employment which is there is in politics. There is no other outside employment. So for them, a very good example is, look at what happened to CCC, the Triple C party. Have a look. When they lost, when they said they were rigged, what I expected from them, I expected all parliamentarians to say, we are not going to go to participate in a rigged system. And we are not going to sit in a rigged parliament. Because the elections have been rigged. So all of us were not going to parliament. Imagine what could have happened. We could have gone into new elections. There's no way Zanu PF was going to rule alone.
You think so?
Yes.
Do they care?
Caring or not caring, the public would have forced them, because the majority of the people would want representation in parliament.
I couldn't have put it better myself. Of course, she was right. This is the political reality in Zimbabwe. We now have the opposition that is participating in flawed election processes, which they know they are flawed, and which they know Zanu PF will win. And they also know that by participating, they are only giving the regime legitimacy. But they keep on participating because they are after the few gravity seats that Zanu PF is offering. Meanwhile, we are perpetuating a failed political system. the election process is flawed and illegal. The only logical step is to withdraw. I think that message now has to go not so much to the opposition, because we know they will keep on participating out of greed. It has got to go to the ordinary Zimbabweans. They have to understand that it is for them to withdraw, to stop participating in flawed elections. If they want to stop perpetuating the failed system. Some people have said, well, what would not participating accomplish? The 2023 elections, SADC and the AU sent the election observers. And they made it very clear that those elections were flawed and illegal. But they could not go the extra mile and deny Zanu PF legitimacy, because 2 million opposition supporters participated in those flawed elections. And not only that, those few opposition politicians who had won the seats, they took up their seats even after SADC had condemned the process, insisting that they had won in liberated zones. These individuals were determined to get their share of the spoils of power, and nothing was going to stop them. It is for the people of Zimbabwe to wake up to that reality, or we'll never get out of this mess. I believe the battle between now and 2028 election is convincing people that the present system is not working, that the election process is so flawed, so illegal, the only logical step is to withdraw. Convincing the ordinary people, not the opposition leaders. The opposition leaders will never be convinced of that, because they are participating in these elections, knowing fully well that the process is flawed. They're doing it out of greed. There it is in black and white. David Coltart admitted it. Tyranny admitted it. They will continue participating, because as long as Zanu PF is offering them something, they will participate. It is for us, the ordinary Zimbabweans, who are facing the reality of a failed political system, who are on the cold face of the failed system, to demand change. I believe this is something worth fighting for. And I think for the next 2 years, to the 2023-2028 elections, this is a subject we'll be coming back to again and again and again. Think about it. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.